And we are live. What is going on, legend? But welcome back to Beyond the 90. We're finally back. It's been a while. We've had a few days off. I know the women's side has been going along, but especially on the men's side, it's been a little bit quiet because, I think Daps knows as well. When you're doing stuff online, it takes its toll on you. And because there was so much stuff recently, we've quieted down, but we're back. We're going to be previewing the Man City Leicester game with one and only Daps. First of all, mate, how are you doing, mate?
I'm good. And what you were just saying then is so true. And I think all fans agree. The way the season starts, and then after three games, the international break, it's the same for fans as it is for YouTube content creators. It's like you get into it, and then it's like, oh. And to be honest with you, I think I tweeted earlier, the one thing that I really hate, I've seen over the last few days, is the transfer window shut a week ago, and I'm already seeing some content creators just tweeting about transfer rumours. And it's like, come on. They should be blocked by Twitter, right? If you tweet about transfers between the transfer window closing and let's say the end of November, you should just be suspended. Please. We've had a summer full of being linked with Harry Kane. I don't want a winter full of it as well. Yeah.
I can imagine for you guys, that's going to be the thing that's still going on at the moment, but it's the thing. It's been, I think, even before the summer, that was something that's happening. So
yeah, it's been going on for way too long.
We'll come on to another player that you actually signed, which up to you. But Jack Grealish, I mean, do you expect him to start? How do you think he's performed so far? What are your thoughts?
You know what? I think he's settled in. I think he's settled in really well. To be fair, when we were on a pod before, I don't know at what stage I was in my Grealish journey so far, but I'm not a hater of Grealish. Look, I think Grealish is a really good player, and I think he's a great asset to the club. However, did we need another Jack Grealish, or did we need a striker? For me, we probably needed a striker. But saying that, with De Bruyne's injury, he's back in training now, but I imagine De Bruyne's injury is going to keep going. I don't think this is the last of it. So maybe that was why.
For a while, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think he's come in and he's definitely injected something into the team already. Yeah, I'm happy with it. To be honest with you, I'm happy with the start. I'm happy with the start, so I can't knock it. But we still don't have a striker.
Yeah. I mean, there's the old adage of, well, not the old adage, a modern adage of, well, you won the league without a striker. Now you're in this position at the moment. But going forward, again, obviously coming against Leicester, where I think we'll find out from the press conference tomorrow, but worst comes to worst, we've got two fit central defenders that were playing terribly against, Sionchu got sent off recently for Turkey, and the centre-back pairing against Norwich, if they were more clinical, they would have won that game. So coming against that, I know you've not got an out-and-out striker, however, I think you will have fun against our defence if the worst comes, where you've got somebody like, you've got Johnny Evans out and Vestergaard out, as well as Fofana as well.
Yeah, which is good for us. I think
not good
for us. The other added issue we have is that at last I've been saying he's better out wide for a long time. Gabriel Jesus has started the season really, really well. And he's not eligible to play, potentially. So it's like, but saying that, that means Mahrez will probably start now. Which isn't a bad thing. I'm trying to think how Mahrez has performed against you.
Well, it depends. I remember a few years ago, he gave Ben Chilwell a horrid time. When I think we've not spoke since we did the
Carabao Cup,
since the charity shield.
Yeah, charity shield. Sorry, yeah.
He was not good, and I got a lot of stick for that, saying, "Oh, he's not performing." I was like, "No, I know how good Mahrez's levels are, and in that charity shield game, he wasn't good enough, in my opinion." Mahrez always better.
Yeah, that's an ongoing issue of some Manchester City channels and content creators, is that we all know how good Mahrez can be. Before we got to City, we all know. Okay,
especially
he won the Player of the Season at Leicester. We all know how good he is, and at City, to be honest with you, last season and the season before, he was one of our best players. But there is this issue going on where if you criticise Mahrez, you have people coming at you for criticising him. And it's not we're saying he's a bad player. It's just we know how good he is. So when he doesn't turn up like that, it's a bit of a frustration. But to be fair to you, I think over the last 2 seasons, controversially, he might have been better than De Bruyne over 2 seasons. Controversially. Wow. But I don't think De Bruyne was that good last season. Sorry?
De Bruyne's always been injured for long periods, not long periods of time, but medium periods of time, I think. And that's one thing that stopped his career. Not stopped his career. He's still a fantastic player, one of the best in the Prem. But it stopped him getting to that kind of next level 100%. Where he mentioned in other bits. But yeah, so Mahrez, again, as Ant says, he scores against us. He always seems to. I remember he scored in the 5-2. But again, looking at the recent results, I know we obviously won in the Charity Shield and stuff like that. However, you guys have pretty much got us the majority of the time. But
let me take you back to early last season. Remember?
Yeah.
At the Etihad this time last year, about.
Yeah, but I think it was 6 games. We've only won 1 of them. I'm pretty sure. I think that's it.
Two. You guys have 2 because of the charity in that one. I think probably.
Okay, 2 of recent in the Premier League. And this is one thing as well. If you criticise Mahrez, you have the Algerian army, and I talk about this with other Man City fans as well. It is within there themselves. Again, we know firsthand what exactly happened with them, but they're a passionate lot, but they don't have any modicum of understanding. It's just like, it's your fault, or it's never Mahrez's fault. Never.
Do you know, I've actually seen once on Esteemed Company, him get pulled up for not talking about Mahrez in a match review. And he was like, he didn't play. I'm sorry, I'm being criticised for not talking about a player that didn't play in the game. This is just insane.
That's crazy.
But no, I genuinely, I mean, this summer, I've got this little issue with Mahrez, right? That after the Watford Cup final, when we did the treble, in the hotel afterwards, Mahrez had come out of where all the players were having a party and was sat where anyone could go up to him. So with a few mates, and a couple of City fans were going up to him trying to get pictures, and he was kind of waving them away, and it didn't sit very nicely with me, to be honest, because I'm thinking, you've just won the treble, you're about to go on a summer holiday, come on, man. And then since then, I think through early last season, he was being linked with other clubs, and he was saying, I'd love to play one day for Real Madrid. But in the summer, he's actually come out and said he loves Manchester and he's happy at the club. And it's kind of now at the point where I'm like, okay, I forgive you for all of that. He is good, man. He's very, very good.
He is. But again, I'm in the same way. I'll be in the same way that when we played against the Charity Shield, his levels were not good enough. And I think there was an opportunity. Was he 1-on-1? I think it was Ndidi and Ricardo. Yeah. And I was like, okay, that's going to be a goal, because I know how Mahrez is. He's not the quickest player, but he's technically can get past players. And he just skied it over the bar. And to be fair, the majority of that game, I know it was pre-season, but I agree with you. He sets his level so high because you know how good he can be as a player. He's unplayable. We know that, Leicester fans firsthand.
Yeah.
But when he's not on it, this is what I was saying. When he's not on it, he goes under the radar a little bit. People don't really appreciate that a little bit more. Do you know what I mean? Where when his skills are there, I think we talked about this last time. When his skills are there and he plays the majority of the minutes, he doesn't realize how good of a player. You do miss him.
Yeah, you do.
When his skills and he puts it through somebody's legs, that's the bit that will get mentioned on Match of the Day. And if you don't watch the full 90 minutes, you don't appreciate sometimes when he tries a skill and it doesn't work out again and again. And for example, when we played in the Champions League and we've switched to a 3-5-2 and he was playing in this kind of cam position, he didn't turn up against Atletico. Again, they were a good team, but we needed somebody like him to take us on to the next level, and he didn't quite do that. Again, I'm not criticizing because he's a bad player. It's just that he sets his level so high.
Yeah, I think there's always this thing. I mean, not with all players, but I can name a few City players that have got it, that when you play against a team you've played for before, there's that extra level of, like, when Sterling plays Liverpool, it's always there, always there. And I think the same with Mahrez and you guys. But the one thing I do love is that Leicester fans aren't bitter about it, which I think
Yeah, it depends
Or
on
are
who
some
you
bitter about it?
There's always fans that are bitter about everything. Social media is one of the places you can find people that are bitter
Yeah.
about. It's just like we let a player go, like Damari Gray, then people online on Twitter. But again, Twitter is completely different from the fans that you meet
Real
on the
life.
ground.
Yeah.
So you go to the ground, people. There might be a couple of boos against Mahrez, and I think the reason was not because of what he did, but it's the way he. You were just saying where he talks about going to Real Madrid and stuff like that. He was doing the same thing at Leicester, just going, I want to leave, I want to leave, I want to leave. And that did leave a sour taste in a lot of Leicester fans' mouth, where it was like, well, we appreciate it, but we support the club over a player. So if you want to leave, mate, as talented as you are, you can go out the door. And him
100%.
being in, yeah,
100%. I mean, that's why the same with Yaya Toure and me. It's like, if you look at Company, Silva, Aguero, Fernandinho, Yaya Toure, they're probably my top 5, right? There's only one of them that kept being linked away from the club. And that's why if you ask any fans of any other club, they'll probably put Yaya up there. For me, and I think for a lot of City fans, like there's still, Company's got a statue, Silva's got a statue, Aguero's getting a statue. Yaya, the club still aren't sure what they're going to do. And it's because of, you know what, it might not have been Yaya, it might have been his agent, but either way, it just leaves that little,
it's taste. You don't forget that thing as a fan. If he, like, for example, we don't hate on Kante. Kante got the move. He went to Chelsea, and Leicester fans are like, great, no problem. We understand. It's a shame to see you leave, but we understand the relationship we have. The Maguire thing, the same. There are people that don't like him. However, the way he went about leaving was the right way. He still played in pre-season. He still gave his best for the club. He didn't throw a hissy fit. He refused to play for Leicester for about 2 weeks, I think.
So, question for you. The season you won the league, Mahrez or Kante?
That's a hard one. That's a real hard one. It was because Kante would get the ball, win it, give it to a Drinkwater, who would give it to a Mahrez, who would then get the skill to put it in the net or give it over to Vardy. Yeah. So an injury to either Kante, Vardy, or Mahrez, we don't win the league. All of them magically managed to stay fit. I think at the moment I'm just in a bit of like I can't really answer that question because all 3 were pivotal in us, and it was one of those phenomenon things that happened. We won it. I mean, it's a phenomenon, but at the same time, if you only lose 3 games in a season, you deserve to win the league. So
100%. For me, Kante, when I look at it with the Kante Mahrez thing,
Kante was like 3
obviously
men. He was so impressive. Kante.
I have this debate and thought about City all the time, and I'm a big fan of that position. Like, I'm not just a big fan of that position. I'm a huge fan of that position. For me, Fernandinho, without Fernandinho, you could probably have taken 2 or 3 of our Premier Leagues away from us, probably, right? And with Kante, I think it's the same as Fernandinho, that did Kante and Mahrez join you at the same time?
Kante joined 2014. Mahrez joined 2014. Kante joined 2016.
Oh, wow. Okay, so a bit of a difference.
2015, sorry.
Right. But with a Mahrez in a position like that, you can come in and, you have one good season, everyone notices it. What? You have 6 good games, everyone notices it. Yeah. With that DM position, like, I mean, when Fabinho, for example, joined Liverpool, first season, I was like, insane player. A lot of people were going, nah, I'm not really seeing it. And I was like, you'll see it. It's just that position. No one sees it until they've done it for a couple of years. And I feel like with Kante, maybe it was a bit like that. No one really saw how pivotal, because until you start looking at when they're not fit and what happens, and Ndidi's another one. And last season, how many games without Ndidi for you guys?
Yeah, Anne's putting here. When he doesn't play, we might as well be soaked. I won't go to that extent. I think it's a bit of tongue in cheek there. However, we've got players I think that can fill in that position, and we saw in the last game of the season when Ndidi had to go to centre back, but we ended up losing 4-2. It was just not, and we lose so much from that midfield, as you were saying with Fernandinho, where he's a massive player for us, and take him off. I remember in the 5-2, which doesn't get mentioned, is how that was Pep's problem and for taking Fernandinho off, because it wasn't good enough the way you play.
mental. And if you look at so if you look at Liverpool last season and City the season before, so Liverpool last season, when there was injuries at the back and they dropped Fabinho into the centre-back role. Mm-hmm. Okay, he did a job as a centre-back. You can never expect a DM to do as good a job, but he did a very good job. That's not the issue. The issue is you now don't have Fabinho in that role. And that was the same with City the season before when Fernandinho dropped back. It's like we don't have Fernandinho doing what he does best, which is breaking up play before it even gets to that position. Yeah, it's just an interesting one because I know for me, obviously, Vardy was insane, but Kante and Mahrez got play with the season. Obviously, Kante had an amazing season, then went on to Chelsea and won the league there as well. And I think at that point, that's where everyone realised, oh, hold on a second. Yeah. This guy is... And then France in the World Cup, hold on a second. This guy is literally just winning people trophies.
Yeah, and for fun. Obviously, last year he got the Champions League as well. So he's part of these... He's a pivotal part of the team.
I don't think Chelsea until last season. I don't think Chelsea have appreciated him enough, to be honest.
I think with the likes of having Jorginho having basically two of the best CDMs in the Prem, it's again Chelsea fans. The team's worth so much money. I know Man City's the same, but they don't get the credit they deserve. And the amount that they were working, I was just like, I think. Again, as you were saying, these players are really undervalued unless you watch them game in, game out.
Yeah.
He's one of the players off the ball that you're just like, this guy is just fantastic. Yeah. But I think that's a good point from Soups as well. So shout out to Soups. He respected Fernandinho in the USA final and he regretted it. I remember the formation. I remember looking at the beginning going, if you guys get it right, he's the biggest genius in the world.
Yeah.
When he got it wrong, you are down for criticism. And that's just the thing, especially when you're putting a no striker, and it just didn't.
Anyway, let's not talk about it. Listen, I'm going to have to do podcasts with Chelsea fans. In fact, I've already done a few this year. Every podcast I go on where there's Chelsea fans on, they talk about the Champions League.
Yeah,
so bored of it.
No problem. That's fine. We can move on. I think the next step to move on to, obviously, we mentioned some of the injuries, concerns, and stuff you have at the moment. There is a weird. I'm having a look at the moment. It looks like, as current moment stand, Jesus, Edison, and Stefan will be out. Stefan's got COVID. Edison and Jesus is whole stuck in that whole South America red list COVID situation at the moment, which I don't know about. So again, looks like Super Scott Carson goes in goal. I just want to get your thoughts on, obviously, Edison, obviously a fantastic goalkeeper, and then Jesus looks, I think, brilliant since the beginning of the season as well.
Yeah, he has. I mean, I'm an advocate of Jesus, especially playing out wide. He leads our press. But I get the whole striker thing. He's not Aguero. And I've thought for a while he's a lot better out wide. However, we don't have him now, so Mahrez. Now, Scott Carson. Right. The biggest issue is, if you go back to when we had Bravo first season, is playing out from the back with people that can't play out from the back. So automatically there will be concern amongst the City players. We're not going to play the same. I can tell you now. Without Edison at the back, you've seen how comfortable he is on the ball. No one has any concerns when he has the ball. That's not going to be the same. And you're going to press us. Is Vardy fit?
Vardy's ready to go, but he's slightly older. So we saw against Wolves when we played at home. Fantastic, but after 80 minutes, he was really struggling. He was like, Jesus. Right. But we made all three subs, so we had to just get himself going as well.
I mean, that's my concern, is that we're gonna. You're coming against a City team that naturally will not be as confident because they haven't got Edison at the back. Ultimately, I expect we will probably play Walker, Diaz. We could play Walker. Do you know what? You keep bringing up perfect comments to what I'm saying. You've done it about 3 times so far. Well, it keeps going around on Twitter about Walker in goal. Scott Carson. Jesus. So it'll be Scott Carson, Walker, Diaz.
Scott Carson might get some boos. As the next Derby player in Leicester, East Midlands, he will get some boos, I think.
Will he?
Sure. Yeah. just because you play for Derby, it's like if you
Yeah.
if you used to play for Man United and you play for, I don't know, you play for a Wolves or something. You're like, right, we're going to boo you. Just
who is Leicester's biggest rival?
At the moment, there isn't one because the West Midlands is its own little entity. The East Midlands, we have so the three
Forest.
growing up, the four teams that are so Leicester, Coventry, Nottingham Forest, and Derby. But then one's in League One or League Two, I think, in Coventry, and the other two are second bottom half of the Championship. So we don't have any like rivalries as such, you know.
Yeah.
We have a little bit with Tottenham, but nothing. Honestly, there's nothing much
with Tottenham.
Yeah, because because they are gutted about when we went to their ground. We won the league instead of them. So they are there's a little bit of rivalry, but there's not really Villa.
Was that was the season?
I know Ant doesn't like I know that Ant doesn't like Villa, but the West Midlands is a different entity, you know. It's like
I get that. West it's Birmingham Villa and let them crack on with it. Walsall maybe,
Wolves,
Wolverhampton,
West Brom, leave them be. Birmingham City, let them be.
Yeah. So that was the season where Tottenham played Chelsea, had the meltdown, got about 7 yellow cards, couple of red cards. Yeah. And then you were, do you know what? I forgot Tottenham were even in that chase.
Yeah. Arsenal dropped out. Then it was Tottenham were chasing us. And then it kind of all just went downhill from there. But yes.
So yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, Stones hasn't played much this season. Don't even know if he's played at all. But he's played for England. I would expect that we go. Sounds crazy under Pep, but I don't know if I think we might see Laporte Diaz at the back.
Okay.
Left is a problem. I mean, it's not a problem, but against Leicester away, it's a problem.
Okay. What about, I think Ant put in earlier in the comments, is Delap ready?
Nah,
he's
not ready yet.
Nah, no way near.
Well, you know what? I haven't seen him since, I think the last time I saw him was against you lot when you won. Was it 5-2 or 5-0? I can't. 5-1. 5-2. Right.
Vardy hat trick. Tillemans, somebody else. Maddison with that screamer as well.
And Liam Delap got brought on, I think, for like the last 15. Hold tight, Claudio. Liam Delap got brought on for like the last 15, 20 minutes when we were already 4 or 5 down, which I thought was a bit harsh from Pep because it's like one of his first actual Premier League games, and he got brought on, and I was like, what? But he looked so when he plays for the younger team, he's a natural goal scorer. He's a striker. A striker doesn't necessarily instantly fit in with Manchester City, and he just didn't look. He looked kind of crouchy for us, like Peter Crouch.
Right, okay.
I'm sure it's changed. He's in training more, but I heard in the summer there was talks of him being loaned out to Stoke or someone. I think he needs to get a lot more game time, and I don't think he's ever going to be a natural Manchester City player. So I don't think he's ready. I think we'll probably go with Ferran Torres through the middle again, to be honest. We'll have to. We haven't got much choice now. I think Foden and De Bruyne are both back in training. I hope to God they don't rush either of them back because that would be silly.
Yeah. They've got people asking about the injury to De Bruyne as well.
No, it's back. Him and Foden are both back in. They're both back in training. The problem is that until last season, we never rushed players back. Last season, for some reason, Pep kept rushing De Bruyne back. And then in the summer, Belgium rushed De Bruyne back. And that's why he is where he is now. And if we keep doing it, we're going to end up with a Vincent Kompany on our hands, I feel. And that's where one of the few things I say about about Liverpool. Did you notice we first started seeing Van Dijk in training probably about February, March time. But it didn't appear anywhere. They kept... Then with Holland, wasn't put in the squad. And I feel like they've managed that perfectly. They gave him enough time to build his muscle back up and get his ACL fully under control to bring him back in. And I think we can't rush De Bruyne. Foden, it wasn't that big of injury. But yeah, I expect to probably see Diaz, Laporte, Walker, Cancelo. Fernandinho didn't travel, did he?
No.
Good.
I was really gutted that he didn't, because I'm a fan of his, but not against us. Do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't be surprised if we might even. I wouldn't be surprised if we might see Fernandinho, Rodri, and Bernardo Silva, which is quite. It's more workhorse-ish, more, and then maybe Grealish. I think it will be. You know what? We might see Grealish, Sterling. No. I hope we don't. He's only just back. They're just back in training. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Grealish, Sterling, Mahrez. But we might see Ferran Torres as well. He might think Ferran's been scoring, put him on. But one thing I want to ask you.
Sure.
Have you seen much of Daka?
The comments have just been going off about him as well. He's not made any Premier League experience. Premier League, he's made the only time he really came on was in pre-season. He's looked good, but he's a work in progress. And he will be a fantastic player. I think the rest of us will agree. However, he's the replacement for Jamie Vardy. He's the long-term replacement, a long-term thing for Leicester City to try and get to that and maintain our levels. As you know from like Aguero, it's hard to replace the goal scorer. It's so hard. So we've got him in. We've not seen a lot of him. You might see him for 20 minutes. He's probably less likely to come on, because I think with playing in Europa League and Premier League, we're going to have to try and balance the two of them.
I'm a fan. Though, I'm a big fan. Big. I kind of last summer when we needed a striker last summer and we were kind of on the hunt, and City's fan base were going mad for Daka. Yeah. There was two players, not this summer, last summer we were going mad for. It was Hassamour, the Lyon player.
Not really. To be honest, mate, I really
sensational player. How he hasn't been snapped up yet. Arsenal keep being linked to him. Sensational player. And Daka. Daka was the other one that I really, really like the look of. He did well last season. Season before last, his numbers were sensational. And he came through behind Haaland at Salzburg. So I expect big things from him. I really do. I would have took him at City.
Yeah, I think he was one of the players. I don't know why a lot of people came in for him. I think I was reading Liverpool was sleeping a little bit. They
were for a long time, yeah.
Yeah, because of obviously the Austrian link with the German link as well. And I think they've had Minamino before, so they've got their relationship with the club. But we just came in and go, right, this is exactly what we want. And apparently with the training ground and everything, he fell in love and he was like, right, this is Leicester as a place.
That's good. That's good.
Which
and you got him for a good price.
Unbelievable price. So again, as Ethan said as well, I think Daka will use a lot of the Europa League. Thursday, Sunday schedule will be tough, so I think we'll make the most of it. Exactly, and he's played in the Europa League before. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. But we'll definitely rotate the squad. But I think I want to come back to actually 1 second. Daka's plays similar to Vardy's. I know, and something I want to get away from is going, oh, he's like Vardy, but he's so good and so quick, and prolific as well in terms of scoring. One thing I want to get to Ant. We're probably going to set up in a 3-5-2 if everybody's fit. We're going to play up front, Kelechi and Nacho, and probably Vardy, and then maybe Daka at about 70 minutes. How do you think you deal with that?
We're not going to get. We've never been good under Pep against a 3-5-2. Mm-hmm. Never. I mean, Chelsea, Wolves have done us. The 3-5-2 something Pep struggles against. I just worry about. I massively worry about the press and about. I feel like we are going to play. You're going to see a different City, and I hope you do. To be frank, because if you see a City that try and play out from the back with a keeper that's not confident, then Vardy could have a field day. I'm not. You know what? I'm a really. You get.
We played a 3-5-2.
There we go. You get with me. You get the pre-Christmas Daps and you get the post-Christmas Daps, and that kind of sums up City because pre-season, look, we've out of the 5 Premier Leagues we've won, we've been top in January once. Right, we're slow starters. Apart from that one season, we're generally quite slow starters. And I've got a lot of this season. Look, last season, yes, we won the league without striker, but that was Man United without Ronaldo, without Sancho, without Varane.
Chelsea without Lukaku.
The key was that was Chelsea, not just without Lukaku. I think we can put Lukaku to one side. That was Chelsea without Thomas Tuchel at the helm. I've got so much respect for him as a manager. I think he's sensational. I think Lukaku will finish what Werner couldn't last year. I think Liverpool are a team where I will, however much I absolutely hate Liverpool, I will say that Liverpool starting 11 without injuries and Klopp are amazing.
One of the best. Yeah.
Klopp, when his team start losing, shows his true colours and turns into a passive-aggressive idiot. And a couple of injuries. Yeah, a horrible person when they're not winning. And I think that reflects on the rest of the team. It's like a dominoes effect, speaking to them different. And everyone's Mane's performance last year, I have no doubt that was due to the fact he didn't get the contract he wanted. Klopp was probably speaking to him slightly differently to how he did when they were winning everything. And but Liverpool keep their squad fit. They challenge. So based on what I see at the moment,
already we're seeing issues. And the thing is with Liverpool as well, they're notorious for injuries. Notorious for years they've been injury prone.
Yeah, I feel like their board are really, really letting them down at the moment. It's like we had the first 2 Premier Leagues we won. After we won it, we kind of had transfer windows that were pretty mediocre. We were buying in Rodwell, Sinclair, and players that weren't pushing players for their squad players, like maybe starting the Carabao Cup. And we've learned from that. And generally, when we win the league in the summer after, we no longer buy squad players. We buy a couple of people that will push players for their positions. Maybe not this summer. I'm not quite sure what's going on. Whereas I feel like Liverpool did it the season after they won the league. They didn't strengthen. Then they're actually top in.
They didn't strengthen this year as well.
No, but even in January, they were top in January, Christmas period. Van Dijk was out for the rest of the season. They knew Gomez was out, and their board went and bought. I don't want to knock the 2 defenders they bought, but they bought mediocre defenders, and it's like you're
4
top.
out of 10.
You want to retain, go and buy a solid defender. You know what? I keep saying this. If you're top in January, right, and you've got a defender out, go and fucking buy Johnny Evans or someone like that, right, that's going to come in and just do
he
what...
Come, but I know what you mean. You need a guy that's been there, done it, been at the top.
Yeah. I'm not saying Johnny Evans, but for me, that's it.
I know what I'm doing now.
Yeah, don't go and buy someone from abroad or a different league. Buy someone that knows the Premier League that will come in and just do what they have to do and let the rest of the team do what they have to do.
Tim Cahill.
Again, this summer, I feel like Liverpool's boards have put everything on. Klopp staying fit. Gomez coming back. Let's be 100. Gomez was never good. Liverpool fans, while he's been injured, has almost made us believe that Gomez was a great defender. He was never that good. He just next to Van Dijk. But a couple of injuries and Liverpool. Look, if Salah ever gets injured, Liverpool are in big trouble.
They don't get top 4. They don't do anywhere near as well. I mean, he got 20 plus goals for them in the Premier League. I think he's been doing it since he came into the Premier League. But you're right. Just to bring it back, I think back onto kind of talking about Man City a little bit. We spoke about before. We're playing a 3-5-2. Kelechi Iheanacho, I don't know if he played like he was kind of a poacher, but last season we seemed to get the best out of him playing kind of this like 9.5 position. So if I had my way, I'd drop Maddison, drop Barnes, get three in the midfield, and you play Nacho and Vardy up top, and then Nacho just behind, and
you're bang on with that,
and it works fantastically. I don't know if it's ever happened at Man City at all.
No, because at Man City he was a poacher. At Man City, he was a poacher. That's all he was. And you're bang on. Last season, some of his goals last season were sensational. They were. Do you know what? They were almost. It's funny because Shearer at times was a poacher, but also Shearer at times was, and some of his goals were just like just outside of the area, just bottom corners, and he's really come on. A lot of talk around City every time we get linked with a striker. It's would you take Iheanacho back? And it's so difficult because we think about the Iheanacho that we knew.
He signed
But
a new
last
contract
season,
now
he came of
as
age
well.
big time.
He signed a new contract, so that buyback clause is gone as well.
I don't think he'd come back. Once bitten, twice shy. Same with De Bruyne and Salah. Chelsea effed them over, so they won't. I don't think he'd come back. I think he'd think, I'm happy here. I'm getting game time. I'm scoring goals. I'm challenging for Champions League football. You're not Arsenal.
Yeah. No, it's true. And we're getting into a position where we're challenging for that top 4 position pretty much every year now. And I know there's a lot of, Leicester fell off. And this is what I mean by when Vardy kind of stepped off because of his injury, Iheanacho filled that position there, and with injuries and stuff. And I know Ant's again a massive Iheanacho fan. And the thing is, if you asked us this last December, we were like, this dude's done. This dude's out of the team. But he just has this way of turning on it, and then he just turned into a new player.
Last season, he
was unbelievable. The second half of the season from February, I think there was a Mad About Foxes. I'll try and find it. They put up a statistic. He's one of the best and most prolific strikers since in 2021, which is just unbelievable considering.
I can believe that.
Such a terrible run before that.
I mean, to say Leicester fell off, right?
It's an easy narrative. And I make this
You've won the league. You've won the league, so people will always put you there. But let's be completely honest about Leicester, right? The amount you spent on your team and the amount other teams around you who spent on their team, is it ever fair? Look, every season, if we're talking top 4, and please don't take this disrespectfully because it isn't, every season, Leicester, if we're talking top 4, are underdogs, right?
Yeah.
They are. So to say they fell off, what? Because they pushed Liverpool, who the season before won the league. They pushed Liverpool to the 4th position. Like, that's not falling off.
Yeah,
that's not falling off.
But it's an easy narrative if you don't watch Leicester game in, game out, and it's just poor punditry because all the big journalists are just concentrated on the top 6. Even Tottenham and Arsenal now, which Arsenal are in the mud in themselves. But do you see what I mean? We always, and even last season, we thought ourselves we wouldn't get top 6. So to do that and win an FA Cup was still a massive achievement. However, there was a fall-off period, but our injuries were massive.
It was insane,
and never get spoken about once again. So it's not me trying to be a victim. It's about me saying it is what it is. And I think I'll just bring it up here. But no, you are right. And the way we fell off, but we've not got the strength and depth. Now we're starting to get that in the team. But as you know, Daps, when you had the Man City takeover with the Sheikhs, it takes a lot of time. And it takes time and constant effort. And that's what we're currently going through. Because bearing in mind, we only joined the Premier League in 2014. And people remember
we also had a hell of a lot more money than you've had.
Yes.
Like, and we've had, again, no disrespect to your managers, but we've had a hell of a lot more high-profile managers.
Yeah,
it's funny. I'm on another podcast called First. Yeah, there we go.
All competitions since 2021 goal contributions: Depay 25, Lukaku 24, Iheanacho 23, Ronaldo 23, Salah 23. It's unbelievable. It's just again the numbers are absolutely stupid. And the thing is, he's a great player. But sorry, you were saying before. I just wanted to.
Yeah, I'm on another podcast called First 11, and they started a show called Top 6, and it was they had like me from City, Sam from Liverpool, someone from each of the top 6, and basically on the first show, about 4 of us kicked off that every time Tottenham and Arsenal got in a debate with Tottenham and Arsenal, we were like, we don't even know why you're here. Why are Leicester not sat where you are? You're here based on
West
legacy.
Ham keep doing bits as well. They're up there as well.
I don't think they will, though.
Okay. Exactly. We are top 6. We're not the big 6, and I think that's where it plays into it. I think it's invented by Sky. I think it was initially invented by Sky to say, "Oh, these are the biggest fan bases." However, I think we've seen now. I mean, some of the people in the comments and stuff like that as well. We've seen there's an international fan base of Leicester there. It is different to Arsenal. People that supported for years. And also when you get probably as well, we get fans from Asia as well. There are a lot more. We'll change our priorities. We don't just stick with one team, and I think that's where Leicester can really come in and be big in the Middle East because they're
Yeah.
already big in like.
I mean, I was having a debate the other day on Football Terrace about this, and
congrats
saying
on that, by the
ultimately,
way, massive thing. So
thank
well
you,
done for that.
thank you. About ultimately City and how like there was debates about loads of players, and I was just saying, look, all these players you're talking about, it's so difficult for me to sit here and think about. In the last 10 years, we've won 5 Premier Leagues, right? Mm-hmm. And in that period, Aguero, Yaya, Company, David Silva, Fernandinho aren't being put in any of these conversations. You're a Chelsea fan telling me that 8 seasons Hazard was here. He was the best player in the league every single season. And I was like, we won the league several times during that period with these players. But I said, but it's fine, because I understand, because I've learned the season we won the league over Liverpool, but all the press reported was Liverpool came so close. Hold on, we did the treble. Why are you reporting Liverpool came so close? We just did the treble. Liverpool tried to challenge in one trophy, and it made me realise it's fine. We don't sell papers. It's cool.
No, neither do we.
And even with like trying to find City people for podcasts, that's why I'm on so many, by the way, because there's not many of us.
There really isn't.
And the same with Stadium. The Stadium, our fan base predominantly are from Manchester, and they're over the age of 40.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've got shell loads of foreign fans or fans under the age of 13, right?
Mm-hmm.
My best mate's an Arsenal fan. His son wanted a City top with Sterling on the back, right? So in 10 years' time, all of a sudden, you will see what happened with Chelsea, where all of a sudden there's going to be a lot more City fans. But right now, there's really not that many of us. And that's why the media goes with their narratives about players. And, you know, Leicester, the media liked that because it was a fairy tale, but they'll never give you the true credit since then, because they just want to look back.
Yeah, it never mentioned that we lost 3 games all season. We deserved to win. It was a fairy tale, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, we were the best team over 38 games, and we deserved to win the league rather than it just being a fairy tale.
Yeah, and you know what? That's so true, because that is a big stat to only lose 3 games. You know, we've got Arsenal fans that are still talking about being invincible. Still,
exactly.
Right? And you were 3 games off that. But you're right. It's put as little old Leicester managed to come through and win the league when everyone else kind of fell off a bit. That's how it's.
Again, we don't really pay attention to that. Again, we again on this podcast we just try and talk about Leicester in a positive and in a realistic way as well. And that's the thing. I think another point that Anne brings up as well. We had 5 academy kids finishing the season because Brendan doesn't cry and doing a 4-hour Sky documentary. Again, when we have an injury, look at if a similar injury happened to look at the way that Van Dijk was reported on compared to Fofana. Obviously, it's a pre-season game. Oh, the season's over, blah, blah, blah. And Leicester, even Brendan Rodgers doesn't want to throw, again, is what you were saying. It's a cyclical process where he goes, oh, well, we've got lost Van Dijk. It's a terrible thing. Well, why don't Brendan Rodgers, when we lost Fofana, it's a big loss. But he goes, okay, I trust in our squad to get better. And that's where you see, I think, not that I'm not saying Klopp versus Brendan Rodgers, but in terms of man management, that's where Brendan Rodgers, I think, has the leg up over Klopp. And especially you were saying as well, to be honest, Pep, when you lost 5-2, him and Rodri came out and they were just speaking all sorts of rubbish as well about if you remember that, going, oh, well, they play this way 90% of the time, they won't win the league, they won't win. And I was like, come on, man, just take your L and move on, because you're going to win.
You know what?
Pretty much everything anyway.
I'm going to agree with you. I don't like when I see any manager come out criticising the way. One in particular is when I see managers of teams like City, managers of teams like Liverpool come up against teams like Burnley, right?
Yeah. And
Burnley play a certain way and then get criticised. And it's like, hold on. How the hell do you think they're going to play, right? It's a game of football. It's tactical. A point against City is a sensational result, right? So please don't knock them. I mean, I think that was one of the things that I always liked about Alex Ferguson, that he would come out and he'd actually say, do you know what, the other team played. He'd be a bit maybe in that era you could be a bit harsher on players. but he would be like, they wanted it more. They tried harder. And whereas when I don't think Pep's as bad as Klopp.
Like, we weren't, but yeah, I know, but that moment for me stood out massively. For the 5-2, just we weren't good enough. I made a bad decision taking Fernandinho off. This won't happen again. And I'll respect that as a Leicester fan, but instead of coming out and criticising us for putting 5 past you, that's on you.
Do you know what? The worst thing is, the biggest mistake he made that day, he made against Tottenham on the opening day of this season. Mendy on the left.
Oh yeah, that situation is
and Nathan Ake next to him. And he did the same. He did the same against.
Did he do the same in the FA in the Charity Shield as well? Because
probably
Ake gave away the penalty, but he had a fantastic game in my opinion. And I think Mendy was to the left of him. I think
he was.
All of his allegations, or not even allegations, this real stuff happened.
It's funny with Nathan Ake because he. You're right. He's been in a lot of teams that have lost games for us, but in all of them, I can't really put my finger on blaming him. But he's been there, and maybe it's now a mentality thing. But it's like it keeps repeating. So how do you see the weekend going then?
I'm not sure. I'm genuinely not sure. I think it depends who's fit. It genuinely does. For Leicester City, the back two of Amate and Soyuncu is scary. Them two alongside each other look like a championship defense. Norwich, I think I said at the beginning of the show, if they're more clinical, they win that game. Man City are coming back from this things. I think on paper you should be beating us. However, I fancy Leicester against the top 6 always manage to turn up. If you play the way that you do if you play the way that you do in the second against the first game, then we win. Or if you play when you played against home when you won 2-0, you were just that team was just unbelievable, just bossing us off the ball, and we just got to I think
that's where I would say it's pivotal that look. I don't feel Foden and De Bruyne are ready. They've only just started training again. Jesus isn't about. We haven't got a striker. I almost feel like we need to go there and be happy with the point. We need to play with, for me, like I said before, Fernandinho, Rodri, Bernardo Silva, workhorses, but Pep won't do that. He won't do that. He'll go there and, we'll play the same style of football. But with Carson at the back, man, ooh.
Is that going to be the weak point for us? Because with Jamie Vardy and Iheanacho running at you, it's going to make things difficult. However,
they're not going to let him breathe.
No.
Every time he gets that ball, they're going to be on him. Him.
Jamie Vardy knows how to play against Man City. Do you know what I mean? Not give him any time and space. And I think Pep and Jurgen expect them to go toe to toe. But as you were saying with Burnley, they're not going to because their team is worth a 5th, if not less. If kind of.
So put that one up again.
And one of the members who shouted.
Yeah, bang on. And it's ridiculous. Like, yeah, exactly that. Why are you expecting teams? Look, You try and go toe-to-toe to City, and unless you're Klopp and Liverpool without injuries...
Or Tuchel even.
Or Tuchel without injuries, but it don't work. You can't do that with for 90 minutes. Klopp had several seasons of drumming into Liverpool fitness, running non-stop before they were ready for it. So you can't just expect these other teams. It's nonsense, to be honest. It's funny whenever I come on podcasts with Leicester, I'm worried. So
yeah, but I think you've still got a quality squad. I mean, at the end of the day, I know Pep was complaining about the Charity Shield that, we didn't have our players back. But your squad depth is still a hell of a lot stronger than ours. And you're playing on players that are like 96 and stuff like that. And they're great players. But again, it is a preseason friendly, but it is what it is.
I don't agree with... I'm a massive, massive believer that if you support a team, you support not just your starting 11, not just your full squad, not just your board, not just your managers. It's everything. So ultimately, when people say, "Oh, but their squad's bigger," no, everyone's squad, we're allowed the same number of people in our squad, right? It's ultimately the depth of your squad, even down to your youth team players. It's the whole club, and you support your club. So if we have to play some players because people are injured, I was thinking earlier where City fans getting excited about De Bruyne and Foden back in training, and I kind of thought, do you know what? I want to be at a stage where I don't care about players coming back because I believe in the whole squad. And I don't want to think for us to win the league this year, we need to have these two players fit, because that puts me in the same bracket as Liverpool. And when you're coming against a squad like Chelsea's this season, that's not good enough.
No, it really isn't. No, you're right. I just want to finish up a couple of things as well before we finish, because bloody hell, Daps, we're going 50 minutes and it's just flown by as well. One thing as well I was going to put in as well. Brendan finds a way to put solutions, not excuses. I think that's a really nice quote. And again, one that doesn't get looked over as well. And the other one, I can't remember what it was as well. That was kind of on the similar note. When Barnes signed his new extension, it was Liverpool target signs Leicester extension. In the same way, I think we've seen as well with Man United. With Man United, he turned up for training and it was breaking news, Cristiano Ronaldo, and the media began absolutely crazy with
insane.
it.
And you know what? Another thing, like if we think about it, we got used so badly. we got used. So Mendes. I think Ronaldo basically said, "I want to end my career at United," and Mendes said, "But they don't want you." And then thought, "Hold on, give me 24 hours. I will make Manchester United want you." United didn't want him. Mendes went and linked him to City, and instantly they were, the whole Tevez thing.
Yeah.
The welcome to Manchester. And when they signed Sancho, United made a big deal at rubbing that in our face that this ex-City player signed for them. So if we would have gone and signed Ronaldo, it was too much to them. They had to bring out Rio, they had to bring out Alex, the whole entourage. But we were never interested in Ronaldo. And even to the point where I said to someone when they said, "Oh, but George Mendes was in Manchester." And I said, "Well, the transfer window's next week. Bernardo Silva wants to move. Bernardo Silva's agent is George Mendes. So, hell yeah, he's probably in Manchester. But if a deal was going to be done, why the hell's he flown home the next day?" And I just thought, this is all just literally to get United's attention to buy Ronaldo. Fair play to him. He's a GOAT, and he could overcome the whole Ollie thing, because you're going to need a GOAT to win anything under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So
yeah, and you're right. And also the word "GOAT," I think, as well gets used so much on social media, but he is genuinely one of the best.
He's a GOAT for me. Is he your GOAT?
No, you're right. But do you know what I mean? I'm not sick of seeing this word, but I'm like, it's like the word legend. The word legend gets thrown around so much. When I was like, this should world class is another one where players of only a certain quality should meet this criteria.
Look, what's world class?
Everybody uses it, and it becomes meaningless.
Well, world class. Who knows what world class means? It's personal opinions. Does it mean you play at international level? Does it mean you're the best in your position? I was on a pod the other day where a Liverpool fan said that Trent Alexander is the GOAT fullback.
Yes. It was not good enough, because he could be, but he's not now.
Could be, of course he could be, but it's crazy. But for me, just one last thing: Messi or Ronaldo?
I don't have this conversation. I literally don't. For me, when you I was watching, was it True Geordie, where they were comparing a Salah versus Hazard, and I'm like,
no, that was. I was on that the other day on.
Oh really?
Football Terrace, yeah.
Okay, I think they did it on True Geordie as well, but I've not watched the Football Terrace one, but. For me, I don't like watching them videos, because what you end up doing, you end up slandering one of the two. And I'm like, can we just appreciate both of them for who they are?
Yeah, 100%. It's strange. I went on there.
When I've been on Shameless FC, where I've said the same thing, where I've like, if they talk, Man United fans are Ronaldo, other fans are Messi, and I'm like, I'm not going to get involved. Not because I don't think they're both great players. It's because I'm not going to be. I'm not going to be drawn in with that, because there's no winner. There's no winner and everybody loses. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it was so strange as well on the one I was on, because it was like you had this Liverpool fan that just constantly was pulling out stats, right? Goals and assists, and then they started pulling out big chances created, and I sat there so frustrated, and I was kind of like, look, can I ask you, big chances, does that involve you've put in a pass but they haven't scored? And they said, yeah. I said, cool. I said, look, Hazard plays deeper than Salah, right? I don't want to make this about City, but David Silva was the prime example of how if you put him for numbers, his numbers weren't all there, but he was playing the pass before the pass. Like, you can be a player that splits a whole defence for someone to lay it on a plate for someone else. You get no credit numbers-wise. And
but if
I
they're
went
out
in
the team,
saying,
it's massive.
Yeah, but however, I am as a City fan, I am Ronaldo is the GOAT for me.
Fair
the
enough.
Mentality, the work ethic and everything, it's you know, I feel like it's that over a God's gift with Messi. But hey, neither of them are coming to City, and please never link us to either of them again. Saga over, and drop Kane out as well.
I think that's done. But that's anyway, it's a good place to end it. That's been a pleasure every time you come on, mate.
Absolutely.
I really, really appreciate it. And the time just flies by. But I know you've got your Instagram there, and if you're never a foul, I've got the links for everything in the description as well below. So make sure you go and check that out. But I'll give you the floor for you to just plug your stuff as well.
Nah, just never a foul. Never a foul on YouTube. Just follow that. More importantly, we're on Twitter and whatever else, but most importantly, never a foul on Twitter. And also Beyond the 90 LCFC as well. Make sure you give that a like and a follow. Doing good things.
Yeah, you too, mate. Congrats again on the football terror stuff. That was a big opportunity to kind of move forward as well. But if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, all the other good stuff. Daps, best of luck for the rest of the season apart from the next game. And we'll see everybody in the next video. So goodbye.